So, in pulmonary ventilation, that is inflow and outflow of air between the, atmosphere and the lung alveoli. I will say inspiration and expiration. So, in inspiration can be summarized as the first process that the diaphragm and the external intercostal muscles they contract, thereby expanding the rib cage. So we say it enables the rib cage to move vertically. So it enables the rib cage to move vertically. So then the the diaphragm, it increases the vertical diameter of the thoracic cavity by pulling the lungs down. So when the diaphragm pulls the lungs down, the external intercostal muscles, it elevates the ribs. So it allows that one now increase the anterior, posterior, and the lateral dimension of the thoracic cavity. So when that happens, the volume of the thoracic cavity is going to increase, and it increases by 0.5 liter. Then the interpleural pressure, it becomes more negative, so the lung is able to expand. When the diaphragm pulls the lung down, the lung is going to expand. Then intrapulmonary pressure becomes negative, and it decreases around 1 to 3 millimeter mercury. So air is going to be able to flow into the lungs. So air is able to flow into the lung, because when there is increase in volume of the lungs by the fact that the muscles they contract, so that one is going to decrease the air pressure. So we say that the pressure of the air inside the alveoli is less than that of the atmospheric pressure. So because it is less, so air will be able to move inside, so that it's going to try to balance. So that is basically what happened in inspiration. Now to expiration. So, but before that, inspiration is an active process. It's an active process. And another thing that happens is that if we need forced inspiration, we are going to need the action of the accessory muscles. So we are going to need the action of the accessory muscles. And those are the sternocleidomastoid, which elevate the sternum, the scalene group of muscles, which elevates the upper rib, and the pectoralis minor, which also take part in the process. So then another thing is that the interpleural pressure is always negative. So it's either -4 millimeter mercury, or it is 750 millimeter mercury. When you remove 4 from the intrapulmonary pressure, which is 760, it's going to give us 756 millimeter mercury. So that is that for inspiration. Now to expiration, which is a passive process. The diaphragm and the external intercostal muscles, they relax. So the rib that expand earlier is going to, come down. So the rib is going to come down as the first. Then the second, the volume of the thoracic cavity is going to decrease. Then the interpleural pressure will be less negative, which means it becomes more negative. And once the muscles that take part earlier, once they relax, what is going to happen? The lung that expand earlier is going to recoil, or we say the lung contract. Then the intrapulmonary pressure is going to increase than the atmospheric pressure. So when the intrapulmonary pressure is greater than the atmospheric pressure, air will leave the lungs. Yes, air will move out of the lungs. So, and if we now need forced expiration, that one require the contraction of the muscles of the abdominal wall. And forced expiration is an active process. So air is able to flow out very fast due to the contraction of the muscles of the abdominal walls. Those are the quadratus lumborum, the transversus abdominis, and the internal and external oblique muscles. Yes, internal and external oblique muscles. So those are the things that we need to know. And breathing also, it is in accordance with the Boyle's law. And Boyle's law is talking about the fact that when you increase the volume of a particular place, the pressure is going to decrease. And you can just think of that like a balloon. When you blow air into the balloon and you tie it, that's a closed system. If you now press the balloon, when you press the balloon, what happens? You are going to, that one, it means you are trying to increase the volume. Yes, you are trying to increase the volume. So the air pressure inside it is going to decrease. So, and if you try to decrease the volume also, yes, when you try to decrease the volume, the pressure is going to increase. So the pressure is going to increase. So like when you press the balloon, when you press the balloon, it means you are trying to decrease the volume. Yes, you are trying to decrease the volume. So the pressure will be very hard on the balloon. So air will try to, want to move out during that period. So, but because you've already tied it, it will not be able to move out. So that is basically what happens in pulmonary ventilation.